We're going to dive into the Diddy story. So breaking news today, it appears that 2016 hotel footage has been released, which actually shows Diddy physically assaulting Cassie. Now, Cassie was his ex-girlfriend, his girlfriend at the time, from what I believe, but she's now his ex-girlfriend. She is the one that has filed this lawsuit before, against Diddy. They decided to settle out of court. But if you remember a while back, some of the things that Cassie actually described in that, hold on, let me pull this up. In that lawsuit was obviously not just the essay incident, but also that there was physical abuse from Diddy. Now, at that point in time, I remember some of the Diddy stands saying that they didn't believe Cassie, or she was just trying to take, another man down, or they're just trying to take another man down. And at that point in time, I continued to say allegedly because we actually did not have any evidence. Well, now things have changed because today, it was reported that the LA hotel that they stayed in 2016, somehow they have actually now released that footage. Now, if you're wondering why we're just now seeing this video footage today, from what I understand, allegedly Diddy Combs, and this is something that Cassie said as well, paid off the hotel, paid them $50,000 for him to actually receive that footage and hold on to it. One of the things that Cassie also said is that when he would attack her in this way, he would basically keep her in the hotel room for days until her face would recover and heal. So she was not, beaten and then taken to the hospital. Obviously, that would raise some red flags. So that didn't happen. So this is why I think a lot of people may not have seen the abuse, but it is captured on camera. Now, for the sake of people watching, we are not going to show you the entire video. I will tell you, if you want to see the full video, you can find it. It's all over social media. It's all over X right now. But for the sake of the viewers and people that are watching, I know there's some of you that could be traumatizing for you. So I'm not going to show you him actually hitting her. But I'll tell you what happened because I've already seen the video. Let's go ahead and dive in here. CNN was reporting this earlier. Diddy shown in a 2016 video assaulting former girlfriend.
But first, give us some context on what we're about to see.
Yes, Jake, this is incredibly disturbing footage, so I do want to warn our viewers, as you did. But as you said, Cassie's lawsuit, which was filed in November of 2023 and then was quickly settled overnight, it did open the floodgates. But in that complaint, Jake, she details an incident that she alleged happened in March of 2016 at a hotel in Los Angeles. She claimed in her lawsuit that she was physically assaulted by Diddy. Now our team in the LA Bureau, we have got our hands on that surveillance footage, and it appears to corroborate Cassie's claims identically. Really, Jake, the lawsuit lines up with exactly what we are seeing. So let's take a look.
Let me pause for a second because I'm not going to show the actual physical part, but I'm going to describe what's happening here. LPA Film says Diddy was already done, but now he's done. Yes. It's pretty bad. So what's happening here? It appears this is Cassie, and she's walking down the hallway of the hotel. She has a bag in her hand, and you'll see she also has on her coat.
New surveillance footage obtained exclusively by CNN appears to corroborate some of the allegations of abuse against music mogul.
Now, this is Diddy running down the hotel hallway in a towel. So it appears that if I were to assume he was probably in the shower and she decided to try to leave while he was in the shower. She has on her coat. She has a bag, or I'm assuming what is her bag. She's going to the elevator. Maybe this was her way to try to get out while he was preoccupied, right? But he starts off, he's running down the hallway.
Sean Diddy Combs. The video, captured on multiple cameras, shows...
I'm going to stop right here because we're not going to show what happens, but I'm going to tell you what happens. So at this point in the video, he grabs her, throws her to the ground, kicks her multiple times, kicks her. Then he grabs the bag, goes over to her, pulls her up by her hair, and drags her across the floor. So again, if you want to see the video footage, you can see it on X. It's available. A lot of people have tweeted it out. I'm not showing it again on here because I know some people may be triggered by that. But that's what happens in this video. The first thing I thought to myself when I saw this video footage was it reminded me of the Ray Rice incident years ago. Ray Rice, former NFL player, played for the Baltimore Ravens. He had a video footage of him beating his wife. I think some of you may remember this. They were in the elevator. And of course, like I said, hotels have cameras, even in the elevators. And it was caught on camera. And remember, his career was done after that. It was done. I think after seeing this video, I think Diddy is done. Like done. Because this is a woman. This is a female. How can you, and this has boggled my mind. Like, if you're a guy, like what is going through your mind as you are kicking a woman? She's on the ground and he's kicking her. What are you thinking? So we're going to fast forward through this part because, like I said, I wasn't going to show what he did there. And then this is the end part of the video where he was dragging her.
There is no audio. According to the complaint, Combs became extremely intoxicated and punched Miss Ventura in the face, giving her a black eye, which, according to the lawsuit, prompted Ventura to try and leave the hotel room.
So you see what I was saying before? She was trying to get away. So there was already abuse that happened inside the room, which is why she is trying to leave. Now, here's my question. In reference to the LA hotel, who gave him this video footage, which is why you are just now seeing it and you didn't see it back then. He paid them off to get this video footage so that no one would ever see it. But of course, here we go. Now you're wondering, how did they have the video footage now? Remember when the feds and Homeland Security raided Diddy's homes? Remember, they also took computers, hard drives, that type of information. So it appears he must have taken that video footage and he must have kept it in his house or he had it on a hard drive somewhere. And that's how they got the video footage. Now, this is just one of the first videos that we're seeing. There could be more that come about, but this is bad. This is really bad. Some of you may have seen the video.
The surveillance video obtained by CNN begins as she enters the hallway. The complaint says, as she exited, Mr. Combs awoke and began screaming at Miss Ventura. He followed her into the hallway of the hotel while yelling at her.
So then here we go again. Notice how he didn't even take time to put on clothes. Just ran down the hallway in his towel.
The complaint goes on to say he grabbed her and then took glass vases in the hallway and threw them at her.
Threw glass vases at her. Let's remove this part because I'm not going to show that again because they go back to the video. Okay, and then we get back to the hallway here.
Moments later, he can then be seen throwing an object in her direction. According to Ventura's now settled lawsuit, the pair began dating several years after they met in 2005. They parted ways in 2019. Combs' attorney said the decision to settle was in no way an admission of wrongdoing. Ventura declined to comment on the video, but her attorney told CNN the gut-wrenching video has only further confirmed the disturbing and predatory behavior of Mr. Combs.
I just want to add in here as well. Yes, the Oracle's right. He treated her like a dog, but even though he decided to pay a settlement towards Cassie, and they say that doesn't mean that that doesn't actually prove that there was wrongdoing, it still gives people the impression that there's something that happened that you don't want people to know about. You don't want this case to go to court, right? You don't want to have a trial. It still gives people that impression. I mean, let's just keep it real.
Words cannot express the courage and fortitude that Miss Ventura has shown in coming forward to bring this to light. The video hasn't been seen publicly before and comes on the heels of a series of civil lawsuits alleging Combs' involvement in sex trafficking and sexual abuse, allegations that Combs has repeatedly denied. Authorities searched Combs' homes in Los Angeles and Miami in April as part of an ongoing federal investigation carried out by a team that specializes in human trafficking crimes. In a December 2023 statement, Combs responded to the claims in some of the lawsuits, saying, "Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged."
But now we have video that at least shows that in reference to the physical abuse, which Cassie did actually lay out this incident in her lawsuit, we actually do have video proof that this did happen. And we have proof that at least that incident did happen. So I'm thinking about all the people that jumped on the Diddy defend train when Cassie first came forward and said that they're just trying to take another man down. And now we have the video footage. And I'm wondering how those people may feel now. You know, I mean, of course, at that point in time, it was alleged, but we had heard these stories about Diddy for years before. Someone mentioned in the chat, they said, now do you guys believe Tupac? I mean, we've heard these stories for quite some time. Abusers are really good at lying, you guys. I want to say this very clear for people, especially anyone who's been in this particular situation. Abusers are very good liars. Very good liars. And oftentimes, particularly if it's physical abuse, when they are physically abusing a significant other, it usually starts in private first. So a lot of times this is why their friends and family members don't know that this behavior is happening. It usually starts in private first, but eventually it can get to the point where it does happen around other people. And that's another thing that Cassie said in that lawsuit, that it also happened in front of other people. There were other people who were around when these incidents happened. So those people become enablers.
Now, that Instagram post from Diddy was back in December. That was not in relation directly to Cassie. It was referencing many of these allegations and lawsuits that he faces. Now, I have reached out to Diddy's team. We have not heard back from them today. But Jake, I do want to point out there was a settlement deal between Diddy and Cassie. So neither of them can speak. But again, we're still waiting to hear back from his team. Now, a really great point that you brought up top, Jake, was what is going on in Diddy's world, right? We've all heard stories of Hollywood enablers and enablers in circles around powerful people. But something that I want to point out, Diddy is one of the most powerful people in music history. He is a mogul. We have not seen any support in Hollywood. All of his famous friends, since these allegations came forward, we have not seen anyone come to his defense. And that silence is very loud, Jake.
No, they've been silent as hell, including Ashton Kutcher. Remember we talked about this where he said he didn't want to comment on it because he was actually close friends with Diddy as well. He didn't want this backlash to come back on him. So no, Diddy's friends have been very quiet.
Yeah, Elizabeth Wagmeister, thank you so much. Incredible work by the LA Bureau. Let's discuss this with CNN's John Miller and Julie K. Brown, a Miami Herald investigative journalist who's been following this story, also best known perhaps for her work pursuing the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking story. So, John, Cassie filed her lawsuit in November. The feds raided Diddy's home in March. Now we see this awful video, which is more than 8 years old. And yet Diddy has still not been charged with anything. I would think there would be grounds for his arrest in that video. Why hasn't he been charged with anything?
Well, the video is out of the statute of limitations. The statute of limitations in California for a simple assault is a year. For domestic violence assault, it was 3 years. They've moved that up to 5 years. But this is out of range for a state charge in California. However, let's get back to that federal investigation. What HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, is doing, as Elizabeth framed it, is they are building a racketeering case, a RICO case based on human trafficking and allegations startlingly similar that track those that have been made in Cassie Ventura's lawsuit and in the lawsuit by another individual who worked for Combs that tell these stories of people being brought in the presence of weapons and drugs and so on. It's very much like what they did in the R. Kelly case, which got him 30 years in prison. So this charge, even though it's state crime is out of the statute of limitations, would be fair game in that federal case.
Julie, Cassie's lawsuit claims that hotel security staff saw what was happening on the surveillance, and they urged her to go home. The lawsuit then claims that Diddy paid $50,000 to get that footage from hallway security. CNN has reached out to the hotel for comment, not a hotel I'll ever want to stay at. How serious would it be if they witnessed an assault, did not report it, and then accepted money to basically disappear the security footage?
Also, is it legal for Diddy to pay for, isn't that essentially a bribe? Like to pay for security footage to be released to him? Like, is it legal for Diddy to do that? But this is a good question here in reference to, is the hotel going to be liable? I would think they should be, but then that makes you wonder about the statute of limitations too.
Well, there's certainly a question of negligence on the hotel's part. And by the way, this just didn't happen in a hotel in LA. These kinds of incidents have been happening in hotels in Manhattan and in Miami Beach as well. So there presumably could be other video, because all these hotels have cameras. There presumably could be other video out there. And in addition, a couple of the other lawsuits that have been filed against him allege that that there is video evidence. And that is exactly what authorities were trying to get their hands on when they conducted their searches of his homes in Miami Beach and in California and LA.
John, assuming that Sean Combs, Diddy, is eventually charged, how important might this video be?
Well, it's going to be very important to the assault charge. It's going to be very important to the credibility of Cassie Ventura as a witness. Remember, when she brought that lawsuit, Ben Brafman, Combs' lawyer, called it baseless, outrageous lies from somebody looking for a payday, claimed that she had tried to blackmail them, that she demanded $30 million. That video is stunningly supportive of her credibility, of her allegations. It unfolds exactly as she charged it did in her lawsuit. So it will help her if she becomes a witness in that case, and it will probably be a chargeable offense in the federal case if and when it comes.
Julie.
Even though we have passed the statute of limitations, when you think about Diddy's career, when you think about his reputation, I would say that Diddy is done. And I've seen people, I was on Twitter earlier today, and I saw people that were supporting Diddy when those allegations were first revealed, now saying, throw him under the jail. Like, that video is very damning. I also want people to remember that Cassie was very young. You have to remember, like, when Diddy actually, brought her over to Bad Boy, she was a singer. She wasn't just his girlfriend. So just FYI, she had a great voice. But when he first, brought Cassie over, you have to remember, I think Cassie was like maybe just reached 19, was like 18, 19. So she was very young. So there's that as well. And now that this video footage has been released, it makes me wonder, are any other of Diddy's previous artists or, let's say, girlfriends are going to come forward as well? It makes you wonder.
The allegations against Diddy go far beyond Cassie's story, of course. Multiple lawsuits filed in the past year claim that Diddy hosted what he called freak-offs, sex parties so brutal that the young men and women would sometimes vomit and pass out from being drugged. They would be beaten. They would be raped. They alleged that Diddy filmed it and directed his staff to change lighting or bedding to better display the people who were performing for him sexually. These are allegations. Does this remind you at all of the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking case? And how did they get away with it?
So let me go ahead and respond to this really quick before they respond. Some of you may be wondering, why would he videotape this? Why would he record it, right? People said the same thing about Epstein. Like, why would he record it? Easy. Blackmail. Blackmail. You never know. There could be information that Diddy had on some of the people that are in those videos. You never know, where they're in, positions or uncompromising positions that they would never want people to see them in. Epstein, blackmail. So I know it sounds crazy because it's like, why would you record that? Are you that stupid? No, it's not about them being that stupid. I really do think a lot of times it's connected to blackmail. Now, last time Kim Iverson was on the show, this is one of the questions that I did ask her about. Like, do you think there's any connection between Diddy sex trafficking allegations and Jeffrey Epstein? You know, that's something I still wonder if there is some type of connection. I mean, Diddy knew a lot of people. He partied with a lot of people, like successful people, like billionaires, you know, so it wouldn't surprise me if he partied with Epstein as well.
Well, remember the Jeffrey Epstein case happened decades ago, so they didn't have cell phones, for example, or this kind of recording technology. So we're far ahead of that in this. And even though they have some of that material, I'm sure what they're also going to look for is bank accounts, evidence that he paid people, including people that provided him with underage victims. And that's really the key here is whether they're going to be able to show that he also was engaged with sex trafficking minors, which is a very far more serious crime.
When it comes to minors, too, I just want to add there is no statute of limitations in reference to minors. So there's that. And I want to get into this as well, because Candace Owens tweeted this out. And I want to get your opinion about this in reference to Diddy. She said, he's not in jail, or excuse me, let's go to Anna first. Anna Paulina said, this is hard to watch. P. Diddy should be in jail and rejected from polite society. Real men don't do what he did. And Candace Owens said, he's not in jail because he's a Fed/CIA asset. Kanye tried to tell everyone. What do you guys think about that? I mean, obviously, I don't have evidence of that, but that's an interesting comment there. You know, I've said before that money can get you a lot of things. When you have a lot of money, you can pay off people, just like he was able to pay for that video footage. You can pay people to hide things. You can pay people to hide information. You can pay people to hide evidence. It's not like Diddy is broke. Bryce said, oof, Candace saying that is wild. Yeah, she said it. Rachel said, Diddy's sons are creeps. I got invited to a party in Miami Beach and declined. Had to wear bikinis and do stuff. Yikes. Interesting. I don't know, but that video footage is very damning. And like I said, if you want to see the actual video in detail, you can see it on social media. Again, I'm not going to show that on here, but I'm just going to tell you this. It does not look good for Diddy right now. And what's interesting, if you look at his Twitter page, he actually has a pinned tweet. And that pinned tweet is a statement from him where he basically says that the allegations against him are false and are obviously trying to attack his character.